Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and I'm here with Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins. This is our weekly update of Westchester County issues. It is Tuesday, October 12th. We had a federal holiday yesterday, so we're doing our update today on Tuesday here at the 2 o'clock hour. We're going to give you an update on where we are with the COVID outbreak, as we always do as part of these updates. We're going to talk a little bit about Hurricane Ida and the recovery from that incident, which happened 5-6 weeks ago. Ken Jenkins will cover that. We have Natasha Caputo, who's our Director of Tourism and Film here in Westchester County. She's going to talk about a very important job fair that's coming up this week in the tourism industry. And we have Lieutenant Joseph Peters from our Westchester County Department of Public Safety, who will talk about a very important issue, and that's the issue of aggressive driving, one that we can all relate to from the time that we spend behind the wheel and dealing with our fellow motorists wherever we may travel. First, let's give an update as we stand as the week is underway. We're using numbers that were active as of Sunday, so there's a slight time lag between them. But the incidence of COVID infection in Westchester County continues on a downward trend, and we're very happy to note that as of Sunday, we had 1,362 active cases of coronavirus. That relates to where we were at the end of August, around the 28th of August, where we peaked out at 2,800 cases. Those number of active cases jumped up because of the Delta variant, which really affected us in July and August. But now we certainly see a downslope, and it's been continuing down now for 6 weeks. And so that is a clear trend of diminution of the number of infections. To be at 1,362 as of Sunday is very good news. We have 58 people that are hospitalized for COVID. That number's been relatively static for the last week to 2 weeks. It's down from a peak of 110, which occurred also in that period of time of late August. And our fatality numbers show us 5 consecutive nights without a fatality in Westchester County. That is obviously good news. We have lost 2,338 Westchester residents to the coronavirus since the pandemic began in March of 2020, so over 18 months. But the last 5 nights we've had no fatality. We hope to continue that streak. We've had periods with no fatalities in the past, but we hope that this is a good sign that the variant has worked its course. We do not know what is going to happen as the weather gets a little cooler. Here on the 12th day of October, the weather has been surprisingly good, and the weather report shows we're going to have some warmer weather the next couple of days. So we're going to get to the middle of October still enjoying weather that's seasonably warm, outdoor dining, outdoor activities, all of which is an advantage to us in dealing with the coronavirus. And we'll also see what happens as we approach the holiday season. Traditionally, Halloween is a period of time where kids and adults interact more directly, to be followed by Thanksgiving in the month of November, then the Christmas holiday season, New Year's. So over the next 90 days, we're going to see both indoor activity and more social activity as a society. We hope that these numbers will continue to stay low and continue to go lower, in fact, as a sign of the right direction. But where we are today, the news is good that the numbers have gone down. 1,362 active cases as of today, no fatalities over the last 5 days. Our vaccination statistics continue to accumulate in a positive light. As of today, we have 89.6% of our adults 18 years of age and older in Westchester County that have received at least one vaccination dose. And of course, because of the lag time on both Pfizer and Moderna, we have 76% of the population that has completed their vaccination series, meaning 3 out of every 4 adults in Westchester County is fully vaccinated. 3 out of 4 fully vaccinated in Westchester County. And in the space of the next few weeks, the remaining 13% will get their second doses. We've had minimal drop-off between people who get the first dose and choose not to get the second dose. And we're just shy of 90% of our adults being vaccinated, which is tremendous results. We still pace ahead of the neighboring counties around us, and we're very pleased to know that that's the case. There's also booster shots now that have been made available for those who took Pfizer as their original dose, and those third booster shots are eligible for people 65 years of age and older, and for people who have immunocompromised diseases under the age of 65. You should consult your doctor to determine if you're under the age of 65, and if you are at 65 or older, Then Westchester County Center, which continues to be a vaccination center. Our 2 vaccination clinics in White Plains, downtown White Plains and Yonkers, continue to be a vaccination location. All of those are available for certain types of vaccinations, but the booster shots have not yet been approved for those that either had the Johnson & Johnson single shot or the Moderna double shot. So we're waiting to hear what the feds will outline for us. We're continuing our series of satellite or pop-up locations for vaccinations in White Plains at the high school library. We have open to the public a vaccination location that's scheduled upcoming from 2:30 to 3:30. It's coming up the next day or two. At Highlands School in the middle school gymnasium, that's going to be on the 22nd of October. Coming up, the earlier one is October 20th. The Highlands School is October 22nd, also in White Plains. And then on October 26th, we'll have a pop-up location at the Reformed Church of Cortland Town in the afternoon. That's in Montrose. And then before the end of the month, we'll be at the Columbus Elementary School Gymnasium in the west end of New Rochelle on the 27th of October. All of these pop-ups are open for you to come and get your first dose vaccination, primarily a Pfizer in each of those cases, and we hope that will be helpful. And as we get a little bit deeper into the year, we'll talk about the November pop-ups that are scheduled. So the pop-ups are designed to complement the doses that, the vaccination locations that are permanent, and we often deal with those entities that reach out to us. In this case, some school entities in New Rochelle and White Plains and Rye that want to be able to get some of their teachers vaccinated, get those students who are eligible to be vaccinated. It is eligibility now for those at the age of 12 to 16 that they can be vaccinated by Pfizer or Moderna, and we look forward to trying to take that 89.6 number and making it go higher with continued vaccinations. We have not had a vaccination mandate in Westchester County, but I'm certainly very proud that without the mandate, Westchester residents are responding intelligently and regularly to the opportunity to be vaccinated and thereby to protect themselves against coronavirus. And even in situations where a person has been double vaccinated and contracts the disease, they contract it in a much less virulent form. We have no reports of people losing their life having been double vaccinated, and the vast majority of people, if they are sick from the disease, do not wind up being hospitalized. So those are good signs as we look forward. Next, I'm going to ask Ken Jenkins to join us to give us an update on Hurricane Ida recovery. You may recall Hurricane Ida came through Wednesday night, September 1st, into Thursday overnight hours, September 2nd. That's a while ago, but the impacts are still with us. Ken.
Thanks, George. And certainly because the devastation is still around us for Hurricane Ida, the loss of homes, livelihoods, and hundreds of families who still don't have a place to call home. So we certainly all understand that these are extremely challenging times, but we want to know that Westchester County, the county executive, and all of the team are here to help you in any way that we can. So assistance may be available to you from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, better known as FEMA, following President Joe Biden's major disaster declaration for all of our communities. The deadlines for individuals to apply for FEMA assistance has been extended by 30 days. So now the new registration date is December 6, 2021. Please make sure that you carefully document all the damage in writing and with photographs. And if you have spent any dollars to repair those things, the receipts and any other documentation to help validate your claim should you make one based on the FEMA requirements. If you need any further assistance or information, you may call the FEMA hotline. It should be on the screen, 1-800-621-3362. So 800-621-3362. This number is for users from the video relay service as well, that you can use 711. For the TTY folks that need the additional assistance, can call an 800 number, 800-462-7585. And certainly the helpline services are available 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. here in Westchester County. We still have the two sites. One is the mobile site that moved up to Portchester, as well as the site that is currently at the Will Library, but that is going to move to a mobile location. The city of Yonkers is working with FEMA in Westchester County and all of our federal representatives, who we can never thank enough, that have helped us through this particular scenario, to somewhere close to Executive Boulevard, where a lot of damage happened in the city of Yonkers. Thanks, George.
Thank you very much, Ken. We're going to shift gears now to talk about one of the important things that's happening as part of our rebound from COVID. You'll recall that when the pandemic hit, all industries and businesses were affected in varying degrees, but one of the ones that was affected the most was the hospitality community: hotels, restaurants, catering halls, a host of different other industries and ancillary industries, airlines, rental car companies, and so forth. And the county has been trying to work with those industries to help them rebound. Some of them have come back more strongly than others. A lot of it just depends on the nature of how people interact with those services and facilities. But Natasha Caputo, who handles both film and tourism efforts for our county, has been at the forefront of working with them. And she's going to talk about a job fair that's coming up this week, which we think is an important step forward in trying to attract some of the workforce that these businesses need in order to function. Natasha, please join us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, County Executive and Deputy County Executive. So our tourism and hospitality job fair is this Thursday from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Westchester Marriott. It is completely free, not only for the employers to participate, but also for all of the job seekers out there that want to join our vibrant tourism and hospitality industry. There are a wide range of opportunities in different jobs, who are from housekeeping to front desk to sales and marketing to client relations, and across the board, from hotels and restaurants, tourism attractions. We talked about the catering venues, all of our partners. We have we have 39 exhibitors and over 170 motivated and qualified candidates that will be there at the Westchester Marriott. I strongly encourage anyone, either an employer or someone who's looking for their next career move, to join us this Thursday. And this couldn't be done without the great support and the partnership here at Westchester County, as well as other organizations. And we are partnered with the Westchester County Office of Economic Development, the Westchester Putnam Career Center Network, the Westchester Hotel Association, the Business Council of Westchester, the Westchester Marriott, and we have complimentary transportation from White Plains and Tarrytown train stations provided by Red Oak Transportation. So again, come prepared with your resumes, your enthusiasm. This is a great growing industry. And as the county builds back and welcomes visitors, we need you to join the team. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Natasha. And let me just add a personal note that the hospitality industry, tourism and hospitality industry, is one of the few industries in which having a generic advanced graduate degree courses and training is not essential. This is an industry where many people start out in hourly wage jobs and have the opportunity for career advancement, career promotion. Certainly in some industries, you're going to need to have an MBA to even get in the door. In this particular industry, you can start out working in almost any position and over time aspire and move up to positions, general manager of a facility, certainly sales and marketing, and advance your careers there. So for those people who don't know what they want to do with their lives, it is a difficult industry, as every industry is. It requires a lot of time, a lot of energy. You're always facing the public, and that can be, for some people, exactly what they want, for some other people, not what they want. But we encourage you to come and take a look. There are plentiful jobs available in this industry, lots of willing employers who are looking to hire. And I'm sure if you've gone out to eat, you've seen that there are pressures that are on the workforce when there's not enough servers and there's not enough managers and enough people to do certain functions. So there are jobs out there. They're good paying entry-level jobs, and there's good paying jobs up the line, and we encourage you to be part of this job fair, as Natasha has highlighted. Now we're going to shift gears to another issue, and this is one in which we're going to invite our county police, represented by Lieutenant Joe Peters to comment on. We have many different issues that we deal with in policing that involves quality of life. Most of us think of police services in certain critical moments of our lives, whether there's a violent crime and we need to be protected from the perpetrators of those, if there's matters of robbery or burglary. But there are also times, just as we live our everyday lives, we see people acting in ways that are dangerous, and we often say, where are the police? How are the police? Can't they control this and do something? The county police, under the leadership of Commissioner Sheriff Tom Gleason and his executive team, have been proactive in looking at ways that the county police, which do police our parkways, the Hudson River Parkway, the Cross County Parkway, Sawmill, and a number of others, have really been looking at ways to make improvements that they think will help properly regulate traffic in a way that will make it a better experience for all of us, avoid some of the things that happen through accidents, and avoid some of the other altercations that happen on the road. So I'm going to ask Lieutenant Joe Peters to join us here, talk a little bit about their crackdown on obnoxious driving. Lieutenant Joseph Peters.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive, Deputy County Executive. I'm proud to be here today to talk about some of the initiatives that the county police have taken over the last year and a half. Specifically, another byproduct of the pandemic of last year saw a dramatic decrease in the volume of traffic on the parkways. With many working from home, the roadways emptied out, and I believe a lot of people, specifically some motorists, aggressive drivers, took that as opportunity, empty roads, open roads, to drive a lot quicker than they normally would. So just to talk about some of the stuff we did in 2020, and we'll jump forward to what we've done recently in regards to aggressive drivers, or what we've dubbed obnoxious drivers internally in the Westchester County Department of Public Safety. In 2020, one of the big things that we saw was an uptick in speed, unsafe lane changes, and drag racing. We got a lot of reports of drag racing, specifically on the lower end of the Sawmill Parkway and the Hutchinson River Parkway. To combat that, we took 2 officers at night and we had them aggressively target these areas to look for drag racers. Several arrests were made in regards to the drag racing. We also did several joint task force initiatives, enforcement details with the Yonkers Police Department and New York State Police to aggressively combat some of these drivers, the speeders, the unsafe lane changers, and also a quality of life issue of modified exhausts. Last year we had much success with that. We had several, again, arrests for the drag racing. Fast forward to 2021, now a lot of people started coming back to work and the volume increased dramatically on the roads. Because of that, we saw an increase in the habits of drivers this year as opposed to 2020. And what we've done, again, like I dubbed the obnoxious drivers, we identify some specific complaints that we're getting that our officers are seeing out on the roadways and the complaints coming in from the public. Those are driving on the shoulder to avoid traffic, driving across hazard markings, which of course is a safety issue, and the modified exhausts. With that, over the course of the summer, from mid-July through Labor Day, we asked the officers of the Patrol Service Division to aggressively combat these obnoxious drivers. And I'm proud to say over that 6-week period, our officers wrote nearly 350 tickets specific to loud modified exhausts, to driving on the shoulder, and also the driving across the hazard markings. Now this number, I'm happy to say, is above and beyond our normal activity of speeding tickets, of DWI arrests, and things like that. And I just want to say that this 6-week campaign was not just a campaign for 6 weeks in the summer. It's something that our department takes seriously. It's something that our department plans on aggressively combating going forward. And again, it's just not something that we ask our officers to do for 6 weeks. It's something that we're asking them to continually to aggressively enforce these issues. Thank you.
Joe, please stay here in case we get some questions from the press. Thank you. Thank you again to Lieutenant Joe Peters. And again, when we get to press questions, if there are questions on this particular topic, I'll have Joe be available to address them. We have a relatively short report today as we go forward. I do want to highlight that we're very appreciative of the work that our county police have done We have seen, and we reported on this earlier in the summer, a decrease in violent crime in Westchester County over the last 4 years. We attribute that to some of the fine work of our county police, the real-time crime initiative, and the cooperation that the county police has with all of the local police departments. There are about 40 local police departments across Westchester County, the big cities being the largest contingent of them, but even small villages as small as Buchanan, our smallest municipality. And the interaction in dealing with the criminal realities of things has helped us create a better climate for safety for our residents. And all of the discussions that we've had over changes, police reform, we've been doing cooperatively and trying to find the common ground areas that we can work at and move forward to improve the way we've operated. Lieutenant Peters, as one example, has been involved in our wrong way driving initiative, where we've had a task force that involves some legislators, some residents, and then professionals like Lieutenant Peters, Kevin Roseman from our traffic transportation department, to look at the Bronx River Parkway and analyze all the entrances, all the exits, and to identify what we can do to prevent, to the best of our ability, wrong way drivers. We hear about wrong way driving and those the tragedies that can result from that, and Lieutenant Peters has added his professionalism as part of that committee, and we appreciate that. Hopefully we'll see some results on all of these initiatives, because they are, at the end of the day, designed to make you safe. When you drive on the Hutchinson River Parkway, when you drive on the Sawmill River Parkway, getting from point A to point B, you see your car as a source of transportation, which is why all of us have it. It's a source of pride. If you have a particularly a good vehicle and you enjoy driving, that's fine. But it's a transportation. Cars can be a source of mayhem. They can be a source of illness, injuries, I should say, and death. And so therefore it's important for us to try to enforce rules and laws that are put into place not to punish, but to deter bad behavior. And it's the bad behavior that can cause injury or death is the reason why we ask our law enforcement officials excuse me, to help enforce these laws. When you have somebody who's speeding and changing lanes quickly, the chances of that car going out of control are much higher. The chances that they're injured themselves, and even worse, an innocent person who's driving alongside of them, whatever aggression they may have to get it out on the highway could turn out to be a fatal reality. So again, we thank the County Police Department in general and Lieutenant Peters for being here today as far as that's concerned. We'll take some questions from the press. We'll begin with those who are in the room, and then we'll get to anybody online through Catherine Chaffee, our Director of Communications. Any questions from our friends in the press? Yes?
Two parts, sir. First, do you think the penalties out there are tough enough? Is there thought of toughening the penalties for all the things you talked about? And part two of my question, specifically in terms of the mufflers, is there a thought of going after the shops or the people that do these modifications?
Well, I think the first thing, in terms of the amount of the penalties, I think that the greater problem is being able to have the resources to enforce the existing laws and then administer the penalties that exist. What often happens, because our manpower may be low, and that's a function of general management of the county, not the police management itself, we're not able to have enough of a force out there to capture enough people, catch them doing wrong, and then issuing a ticket, and that ticket, will wind up being a financial hit, which serves to remind people that we expect a certain behavior. So I think if we enforce the rules that we have now better, and we put the manpower out there that's necessary, then we'll get greater compliance. In an ideal world, I'm not really worried about how much revenue this generates. I'm more concerned that it be a deterrent, as I said a second ago, to the behavior. Somebody looks at this as a high-ticket item. Why take the risk of doing these things? As far as the mufflers themselves are concerned, I think it would be helpful for us to have an initiative. We'll talk through our Consumer Protection Office. We don't have an army of people out there that can be able to administer something like that, but I think that's a worthwhile initiative. I think oftentimes what happens, and Joe, I'd appreciate if you want to comment on this, many times those modifications that make the mufflers noisy to create a statement are made by the owner of the car. And sometimes they use professional help, and sometimes they do it on their own. So there's some limited benefit of reaching out to the workplaces, the various garages. But I think some of it is getting the message to the individual themselves that as much as they find it flashy to have these types of mufflers and the sound that it makes, I hear them all the time, as do you, it's really as much the energy by the individual that then goes out and finds the garage that will help them accomplish what they want. Lieutenant, do you have any comments you want to make on the latter part?
Sure. What we've seen a lot with the modified mufflers, exhaust systems, are that in a lot of cases, there's actually a switch inside the car that allows the driver of the car to decrease the sound level when maybe they see us around and know that we're around, and they have the ability then to switch on and then increase the level of the exhaust in the muffler. So that's an issue that we have to combat, and that's something that, again, with this enforcement, we've done a lot of work within the municipalities of Mount Kisco and Cortland, where we patrol, as well as the parkways near residential neighborhoods where people that live close to the parkways. We've tried to combat this issue because of the increase of these violations out on the road, and not to mention the increase of the complaints that we are getting from the public.
Let me just reinforce something that Joe said, too. The patrol responsibility for the county police is structured around the parkways of Westchester County, not the interstate highways. The state police I-95, I-87, 287, I-684. Those are state roads, throughway authority or state DOT roads. We in the county police the various parkways of Westchester County. And he pointed out there are two communities, Mount Kisco and Cortland, that have arrangements with the county whereby we provide the normal street policing, if you want to call it that, within those municipalities. Obviously, the county jurisdiction applies, and wherever a county police officer sees something happening that's breaking a law, they have the authority to be able to take action. But the primary responsibility are in those targeted areas. So when somebody comes to me and says, late at night on the New England Thruway, guys are drag racing, then that's something we work with our partners in the state police, which polices that roadway. Any other questions on any of the topics we've mentioned today?
I have some questions for
Okay, well, let's see. Anybody else inside? No. Okay. Any questions remotely, Catherine?
Yes. So David Proper from the Journal News asks a question for Lieutenant Peters. Is the number of summonses an increase from past years? If so, any idea by how much?
Lieutenant?
I don't have the number specific to previous years in comparison to the numbers that I provided to you earlier, but what I can tell you, it is a dramatic increase specific to those three violations that I talked about: the quality of life issue, the modified exhaust, as well as the driving on the shoulder and across hazard markings. Again, it was an initiative that we tasked our officers in patrol to deal with, and again, the number is dramatically increased over any specific time period that you would want to relate it to compared to what we did at the initiative in the summer of 2021.
The next question is also from you from Fox 5 from Richard P. He asks, are there any specific problem areas such as the Sawmill Parkway or the Hutch?
In regards to anything specific?
The
or
obnoxious driving.
So again, with the modified mufflers, we've tried to take action in the areas specifically where there are neighborhoods close to the parkways. And again, in the municipalities that we do patrol of Mount Kisco and Cortland. Some of the other infractions that I spoke about regards to driving on the shoulder, we have some of our go-to spots that are more problematic than others, specifically on the Hutchinson River Parkway southbound at 287. We get a lot of shoulder driving there, as well as across County Parkway westbound at Yonkers Avenue. We get a lot of shoulder driving there. So again, we know some specific areas targeted to specific violations, and our officers take aggressive enforcement action in those locations.
Thank you. The next questions are for the county executive, different topic. These are from David Proper as well.
Yes.
He asks, do you expect the Westchester Knicks to return to the county center when it reopens and stay long term?
Well, since we don't know when we're going to be able to have the county center resume as a sports arena, it's realistic to expect that the Westchester Knicks will make some alternate immediate plans, have made alternate immediate plans, and may make some longer-term plans. We would like to keep the Knicks with us. They were very much a part of our use of the facility, and we have an NBA quality floor that we've used for them. But realistically, as we're in the middle of the COVID crisis still, and the county center has been a major vaccination center within the region. It's one of the most successful ones in the whole state. We're obliged for public health purposes to keep the county center in that fashion. I don't envision any change in the use of the county center, not just only through the end of the year, but probably through the first quarter to first half of next year. And that's difficult in terms of the Westchester Knicks. It's also difficult. You remember a couple of years ago, we made a major effort to bring Section 1 high school basketball finals back into it. just before the beginning of the pandemic broke. So I'm afraid that we're not going to have the pleasure of having the Knicks with us. We obviously wish them well. I'm a Knicks fan, so I want to see them do well. But the alternate arrangements are available to them in places that are not being used for vaccination center. And we don't know when we'll have it back. We know that we turned Glen Island over to the state as a testing center, and we were able to get Glen Island back after a year plus of usage. But the vaccination center could be long-term. We're looking at booster shots for everybody that's got an original shot. We're looking at shots for those under the age of 12, which have not yet been authorized. We don't know what else is coming. And, of course, we continue to have first-time shots for those people that get to the point of being prepared to do it. So it is a loss for us not to have the Knicks, but it appears that when you balance out the scales, having public health availability for vaccinations outranks other uses.
Okay. Two more questions on the same topic. How much does it hurt the county in general to not have revenue coming in from the county center?
Well, it's a loss of revenue, to be sure. Some of the money that we received a year ago from Coronavirus CARES Act and some of the money that we have access to under the ARPA program from this year helps offset coronavirus-related losses of revenue and costs. We can use it to replace lost revenue, and in the case of not having all of the things that we have at the county center, there is federal money to help us offset it. The county center, when it returns to our control, whenever that is, will no doubt need some significant renovations. You didn't build hospital rooms on the floor of a basketball court and expect that to just be tear down the rooms and you're back to normal again. It's going to take work to get the building back, particularly the main floor, which is used for the main sporting events. The side rooms, the upstairs little theater, were less disturbed by the usages of it during this. And since we don't know when that process is going to begin, most entities that want to book things in advance have made other arrangements. We've got a host of trade shows that come through there. We have a coin show that's there, a reptile show, baseball card shows. All of those entities, to the extent that they continue to function, have had to look for alternate venues for this. We well know we have the circus there. We had some decisions to make about exotic animals that turn out not to be relevant because the pandemic eliminated the circus from being, there and perhaps elsewhere. I'm not sure if it's still continuing. But I do think this would be part of a future public policy debate sometime over the next year or two, obviously, pending what November brings us, in which I think we need to have a community conversation, the same way that I've talked about the Westchester County Airport, that we all need to be engaged in the county as to what the future of the airport is. We're going to need to be engaged as a county what the future of the county center is going to be and what that will look like for a sporting arena and the physical facility that we have. It's a wonderful facility, and we hope that we'll be able to accomplish these things, but it won't be soon.
Okay, last question. You've already hit on some of these topics. Do you think the long-term viability of the county center is affected much with its continued closure, and any idea when it would no longer be a vaccine hub?
It's impossible to guess in terms of when we'd come back. That would be the $64,000 question. There's no way we could know that now. It really depends on what COVID looks like over a longer, stable period. I think we all believe that COVID will be with us in the same way that perhaps the flu is with us, manageable. If a significant number of us are vaccinated, but we may not get to that point in a short period of time. Certainly, as I said, won't be through the end of the year and probably the first portion of next year. In terms of the long-term viability, it is a beautiful facility. The exterior structure and interior structure of the building is sound. What we do with the internal portions of the building is subject to what we do. If you go back almost 40 years ago, one of my predecessors, Westchester County Executive Andy O'Rourke, launched a major renovation that was dramatic, closed the facility for a multiple number of months, 2 years, I guess, maybe more. And when it reopened completely refreshed from what the original 1929, 1930 timeframe of its original construction was. That's what we're going to need to discuss again. And given other factors that may happen in the society, we have MGM Grand in Yonkers that may get a full casino license. If they do, they're likely to build some type of an arena. That arena may wind up being a major attraction venue for certain kinds of activities that have otherwise gone to the county center. So we'll have to make some decisions about that. And hopefully out of all of that, we'll make some intelligent decisions that everybody's involved in the discussion of. Very good. Thank you very much. I'm George Latimer, County Executive. Thanks for watching. A little later in the week, we'll be back to reveal and release our 2022 capital budget for Westchester County. That is one part of the budget submissions that come at the end of the year to the Board of Legislators. We release our capital budget in mid-October prior to the operating budget, which is released in mid-November, and the Board of Legislators discusses those along with special district budgets through the end of the year, and then hopefully everything's in place when the 2022 year begins January 1st. So we'll be back with that a little bit later in the week. We may have other announcements as well. In the meantime, we appreciate you tuning in. Please be safe. We'll look forward to seeing you soon.